Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances and Dandavat Pranam. I invite you to the early morning short Bhagavatam class organized by Radha Govinda Temple of ISKCON, Kulai, Mangaluru. And I indeed invite you for and on behalf of His Grace Sri Ramanisa Das Prabhuji. We shall begin with the prayers. Prayers are very important and you will say your prayers with me, keeping the mute button on. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो वैष्णवपादाय कृष्णप्रेसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। प्लीज फॉलो मी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्।
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
हे
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो
ततो जयमुदीरये।
शृण्वतां सुकथः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन
शृण्वतां स्वगतः कृष्ण
पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
हृदयन्तः सोयभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरसताम्
भद्राणि विदुनति सुरक्षताम्।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु भागवत सेवया
नष्टप्रायेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी
इष्टकी।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna Prakash
Hare
Rao Prabhuji, Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Bhatane
Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, Chapter 15, the saints Narada and Angira instructs King Chitraketu. Verse number 4. Those who want to recite the verse can raise their hands. Yatha dana suvaidana bhavanti na bhavanti cha evam bhutani bhuteshu choditani shamaya yaya. Shakti Avasti Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम यथा धना सुवेधाना भवन्ति न भवन्ति च एवं भूतानि भूतेषु चोदितानि क्षमायया हरे कृष्ण
Thank you, Mataji. Chitra Mohini Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yatha Tana Suvaidhana Bhavanti Na Bhavanti Cha Evam Bhutani Bhuteshu Choditani Shamayaya. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Pranadandini Madhvi Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय यथा धाना सुवैधाना भवन्ति न भवन्ति च एवं भूतानि भूतेषु चोदितानि समयया कृष्ण प्रभु
Thank
थैंक यू
you. Suramya Madhvi Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dharat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम यथा धाना सुवैधाना भवन्ति न भवन्ति च एवं भूतानि भूतेषु चोदितानि क्षमायया हरे कृष्ण
Thank you. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dharat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
I made you
Oh,
co-host.
okay, Prabhuji. Dhanyavad, honored. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Yadha Dana Sunayudhana Bhavanti Na Bhavanti Cha Evam Bhutani Bhuteshu Shodhitani Isamayaya. Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Chitra Mohini Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dharat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Go ahead.
I will recite it, Prabhuji.
Yeah, your hand is raised. Sorry. Revati Ratnangi Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna
हरे
Mataji.
प्रणाम प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय यथा धन सुवैदाना भवन्ति न भवन्ति च एवं भूतानि भूतेषु चौतिदानि क्षमायया हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी थैंक्स अ लॉट
Revati Mataji, can you read the synonyms for us?
यस प्रभु जी yata just as tanasu through seeds of paddy by indeed danaha grains bhavanti or generated na not bhavanti or generated cha also even in this way budhani the living entities budeshu in other living entities kodidani impaired is isa mayaya by the potency or power of the supreme personality of godhead hare krishna prabhuji thanks a lot pranams
Thank
prabhuji
you very much. Thank you very much, Revati Ratnangi Mataji, for reading the synonyms. Thank you. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When seeds are sown in the ground, they sometimes grow into plants and sometimes do not. Sometimes the ground is not fertile and the sowing of seeds is unproductive. Similarly, sometimes a prospective father, being impaired by the potency of the Supreme Lord, can beget a child, but sometimes conception does not take place. Therefore, one should not lament over the artificial relationship of parenthood, which is ultimately controlled by the Supreme Lord. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Chitraketu was actually not destined to get a son. Therefore, although he married hundreds and thousands of wives, all of them proved barren, and he could not beget even one child. When Angira Rishi came to see the king requested the great sage to enable him to have at least one son. Because of the blessings of Angira Rishi, a child was sent by the grace of the Maya, but the child was not to live for long. Therefore, in the beginning, Angira Rishi told the king that he would beget a child who would cause lamentation and jubilation. King Chitraketu was not destined to get a child by providence or the will of the Supreme. Just as sterile grain cannot produce more grain, a sterile person, by the will of the Supreme Lord, cannot beget a child. Sometimes a child is born even to an impotent father and sterile mother, and sometimes a potent father and fertile mother are childless. Indeed, sometimes a child is born despite contraceptive methods, and therefore therefore the parents kill the child in the womb. In the present age, killing children in the womb has become common practice. Why? When contraceptive methods are taken, why don't they work? Why don't they act? Why is a child sometimes produced so that the father and the mother have to kill it in the womb? We must conclude that our arrangement of so-called scientific knowledge cannot determine what will take place. What is enacted actually depends on the supreme will. It is by the supreme will that we are situated in certain conditions in terms of family, community, and personality. These are all arrangements of the Supreme Lord according to our desires under the spell of Maya, illusion. In devotional life, therefore, one should not desire anything, since everything depends on the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. As stated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anya Vilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Silanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should tender transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One should act only to develop Krishna consciousness. For everything else, one should fully depend upon the Supreme Person. We should not create plans that will ultimately make us frustrated. We are in a situation where King Chitraketu has lost his son. And since the chap has lost his son, who came after a long period from so many thousands of wives, was a very precious child. Unfortunately, this precious child dies. The reason for the death is being poisoned by other envious queens. So if you look at all the things around, a big king having a big kingdom, a lot of opulence, a lot of power, a lot of strength, lot many wives to look at, but he didn't have a child. Child in Indian mythology is very important to propagate the progeny and the dynasty of the family, especially of a king, because king has to inherit his kingdom to his son or daughter. This child is born after the very good behavior of King Chitraketu to Angira Rishi and Narad Muni who were visiting him. Sorry, to Angira Rishi who was visiting him. Angira Rishi got pleased and he then was requested by Chitraketu to get a child. At last, at least one, and that to a son. Angira Rishi, being pleased with his very nice Vaishnava behavior, he, along with Maya, got him one child. There were lots and lots of problems before the child was there, but the problems actually started once the child arrived in the family. Child being a very, very precious child, what was abundantly looked after, and so also the queen who bore this child. This automatically creates an imbalance, and that imbalance created envy within the family in the palace. And envy in the Kshatriya family in the palace always leads to violence, always leads to death. And so that's what happened. Srila Prabhupada explains in so many ways. And actually, Narada and Angira both have come to visit Chitraketu to instruct him about his recent loss and not to lament for it. The instructions started from yesterday. when you learn all about separation, that something that unites always separates, because there are only two possibilities, getting united and getting separated. So one has to come after the other. And so anything that joins always separates. And so separation should never be lamented for. Or rather, when the union occurs, one must be prepared and ready for separation, because that's the next thing that is going to happen. You all know the most beautiful part of the material world, or the worst part of the material world, is that nothing is fixed. The only constant thing is a change. And change is so constant that it produces a lot of fear in the minds of living entities. These fears arise out of the fact that no one knows what is going to change. And that's why there is always a fear what comes next. And that's why the life of living entities and the conditioned souls are very miserable, consisting of very few pleasant changes and most of the destructive changes that keep occurring automatically, and you have to bear with it. If you look at look at Bhagavad Gita, many people in the material world explain Bhagavad Gita in their own ways. One of the explanation I thought of some value and understanding is Krishna says that you always ask for what you like, but you know that you only get what I like. And so the best is you ask what I like. Very simple. If you follow these three sentences, then the life is very comfortable, because that's what you want and that's what you keep getting. And so it's very simple. Your desires must be aligned with the desires of Lord Krishna. And simply to know his desires, you must align with Lord Krishna in every respect and perform loving transcendental devotional service without any material gain, without any interruption. Now, the same thing can be explained in so many material ways that everything in the world happens as per the providence. And what is providence? The will of the Lord. The will of the Lord and the providence are such that our inadequate human mind intelligence do not understand that complex situation. It needs a very divine computer to put things into proper place to understand the actions that Lord is taking or incidences that happen in our lives. Our mind even doesn't work as a computer, forget about divine computer. And so this leads to a chaotic life and miseries. If you remember Bhishma Pitamaha, when he was dying, he was conversing with Pandavas and Pandavas asked one question, that we passed through so many miseries. Was all misery due to our karmas? In the past, of course. And Bhishmadev said very correctly that it certainly was not due to your karmas. This all was the providence or the will of the Lord. And then he looks at Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna affirms and says yes. So this providence is something that we do not understand, and that's why we always are very scared and skeptical of the providence that Lord's wishes are. We think that we make the plan, the material plans, and those plans put into place would succeed, and we will have the life as per those plans. And mind you, we human beings are very smart people. For our sense gratification, we are the masters. We can imagine things that probably no one else can easily imagine so far as sense gratifications are concerned. And so all our plans are nothing but planned gratification of our senses, one way or the other. None of our plans really have anything to do with the spiritual aspects or anything to do with the progress of Atma or spirituality towards the devotional service. Because that's how we are conditioned. It's always a TV after the air conditioner and air conditioner after the refrigerator. When all is gotten, the big bungalow, when that is there, need two cars. When two cars are there, you need SUV. When SUV is there, mind you, it doesn't stop there. If you live in US, you realize that your next plan is to get your two-seater plane. And then when the two-seater plane comes, you are looking for a helicopter, and so on and so forth. In short, all of these only add to the material comforts to your physical body. It has nothing to do with your soul. And something that has nothing to do with your soul, the soul being always seeking for happiness, remaining in happiness, those things which do not touch the soul is not going to create any happiness. We want happiness, we can't get happiness, and so we remain frustrated in search of happiness and die so that we can get another body and continue our search for the happiness. This has been our scenario. And thus Srila Prabhupada explains to us in various permutation and combinations about the father and the mother and begetting a child. Situation where both are potent, situation where both are sterile, situation where one is sterile and another is potent. Situation is where there is no will of the Lord. And thus, ultimately, Srila Prabhupada says that everything happens exactly against the plans that we do. We use contraceptions so that children are not born, but they are born. We do not use contraception We are potent and still we may not get a child at all. When we are impotent or sterile, obviously getting a child is difficult, but then with the blessings of rishis like Angira, you may get a child. In other words, whatever you think with your straight mind, with whatever little capacity that it has, whatever result should be produced is not always produced, or is not most of the time produced. The result produced is those of the will of the Lord. So, will of the Lord is very, very important. That's the reason the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu definition of devotional service is being put up here as a reference. Anyabhilashita Sunyam. Anya means something else. Abhilashita means sicha or desire. Sunyam. So you have no other desire other than the Lord Himself. Jnana karmadi anavritam. You do not want to get anything which can please you, either because of your fruitive activities or because of your jnana or mental speculations. Anukulyena Krishna nu, and that's very, very important. It must be favorable to Lord Krishna. Otherwise, I'm sure Shishupal, Kans Maharaj, etc., would have been a very exalted devotees because they were always remembering Krishna. But their remembrance was unfavorable to the Lord. And so it was an envious remembrance of the Lord. How to kill him, how to get rid of him were their ideas. And that's why they are not devotees. So the direction that this purport takes us and takes Chitraketu Maharaj is towards the Lord. That it is the providence or the will of the Lord which is very important, and that can only change by your steadfast, loving service to the Lord. All other material aspects of the end result have little or no value at all, because with or without those material aspects, things still happen as the Lord wishes. And thus, in the material world, there is no mathematical calculation like astrology in divine world that it brings about a mathematical solution to all the problems and the issues. And that's the reason why all the difficult problems in the material world requires thinking out of the box. Most of the solutions are lying far away from the routine thinking within the box. And this is only because the Kala, the destiny, and the Kriya enters in. All these three things then makes a material change, divine change, a very strong change as per the will of the Lord. And thus the will of the Lord has to be respected, understood, and followed. This is where we again come back to those three sentences that you always wish what you like. You always get what I like. Then why don't you wish what I like? We'll have to learn to understand that we would like to wish and get going back to Godhead because that's what the Lord likes. That's what the reason Lord is coming back on earth again and again to reclaim those souls who has forgotten rebellion and want to go back and serve the Lord all through. And that's why remaining in the mode of goodness as much as possible with various penances, various austerities, charity, and other things that we call Bhagavad Dharma. We may then proceed with our sadhana bhakti. And the sadhana bhakti, as you know, are of two types, the Vaidhi bhakti and the spontaneous. Very few of the Vaidhi bhakti go to the spontaneous. They almost straight will jump to the bhava and prema. Those who are very fortunate pass through a spontaneous stage. But for Rajavasis, this spontaneous stage is permanent, is known as spontaneous sadhana bhakti with perfection, because there is a difference between the Vrajavasis and the devotees. Vrajavasis consider Krishna as their own, and their attachment to Krishna is solid, so strong that they do not think or understand or realize that Krishna is a superior, supreme power. And that's why their commitment, their actions are what Krishna likes the most. Devotees, for an example, do not understand this. The divinity, the reverence, and the supremacy of the Lord prevents them to come that close to the Lord and behave like one with Him. Taking an example like Hanuman. Hanuman always keeps the reverence in mind, and he does feel comfortable when he is serving the Lord. However, when the Lord is trying to hug him, he feels very uncomfortable and he feels his place only is at the lotus feet. Because of this difference, the Vrajavasi, whatever they do is called Vraj Bhakti. And this Vraj Bhakti, that's why, is the gold standard of the devotional service. It's very difficult to get that in our life as a devotee. And only Vrajavasis know the type of devotional service that we are talking about. But even at that level, this minute difference does exist for us to remain separate than those Vrajavasis. any question, any doubts, any inquiries, any addition, any commentary, any suggestion. I would love to welcome any suggestions also.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Subhara Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. What a wonderful way you have explained everything, Prabhuji. Where
Thank
you
you.
get that much, I don't know, it's very physically, very impossible to. Your orthopedic surgeon's intelligence is working out here completely. What a way you dissected everything. Wonderful, Prabhuji.
Hare
You
Krishna
should also give
Prabhuji.
us tips how to go to the subject like this.
Prabhuji, doctor is praising doctor. Experts, experience. Wonderful
No,
service.
Prabhuji. It's a
Explanation is
clear
excellent.
analysis.
Prabhuji is
But I
really...
feel, Prabhuji, as a layman,
No.
when his main intention is to have a child, why can't you give another child to him in addition to all this effort of bringing him to Vairagya and renunciation? What
Yeah.
problem if one more child is given to him to satisfy him?
In fact, I also was thinking very similar to what you are thinking. And the only solace that I got at the end, after thinking for about an hour or so, is that it was Lord's will for him not to have a child at all. However, because of insistence and with the help of Angira, he got hold of a child from Maya. So ultimately that child died, which pronounced the will and the providence of the Lord so nicely again. And that's how Chitraketu now would realize that it's not something that he should have, and something that he shouldn't have, he should not get it. This is very similar to Ishavasya principle of quota system. Whatever your quota is, you take it. If you take something else from another quota, then you are stealing from the Lord. Child is not in his quota, and so he will not be able to get the child. Does that make some sense, Prabhuji?
But what that is one way. But as we think logically in this human life, karmanye vadikaraste mafalesh kadachana. One should, when that is the intention, keep on making effort for the child. Here, the child is the subject.
Yeah, that's true.
Suppose I may not be bestowed with getting a post graduation in the medical field. But what stops me for trying for a PG seat constantly?
Yeah, I mean, perseverance generates success. And if you look at even the topmost man in the world is the President of United States. And those presidents who lose their race and do not win, they try second time, they try third time, and ultimately they win. So that's very true. They always say perseverance generates success. And if you should continue doing that. But I think Chitraketu did that with not less than 10 million wives, and he could not succeed. So it's something that his fate or destiny doesn't have it. And if the Lord's will is as per that, he's not going to have it. So we might look at the material needs and the possibility of a heir and someone to carry on with the kingdom. But that's not, there must be some other plan for Lord to have someone else who is much smarter and better than him for his kingdom. That's the only way I can think positively.
And second question is, the focus is not given as what is the punishment for all those wives who have done such a ghastly murder. That is not mentioned at all.
Yeah, that's something I think I'll wait until the chapter is over because I have not read the whole chapter. But if it is not there, then that should be something which should be inquired too. It's a very ghastly approach to solution or their envy. And if that is the way it is, then that certainly should produce reaction to those who give poison, because and that reaction should be known to us. But I have seen that in the Kshatriya families, envy always kills. And they only know one thing, either kill or let live. So it's quite common. I mean, you and me, people like us who are either Vaishya or Brahmana or someone else, would never think about killing an ant. But they, uh, the moment someone is against them, their inner soul immediately tells them that he is enemy and kill him.
Even if Prabhuji, Hare Krishna,
Yes,
even if they are not mentioned also as per the karma, law of karma, they will be given punishment, by the God
yes,
for the ghastly incident that happened.
yeah,
And second is, my revelation is that maybe God's will is that he doesn't have, as per his karma, past karma, Chitraketu will not have a child. But Angikara, although he has performed the yajna and given a child, that made him, he also tells in that first, I have read it, Prabhu, says that you will have joy as well, sorrow also for this child. That they have mentioned in the sloka.
yes,
So that
that's
means
true.
Chitrika, the Angikara, Rishi Angikara knows very sage. You know? He
Yes.
knows it that even if even this that the child will not survive.
In
So
fact,
as
the
per the law
first,
of karma, it was.
yeah, first paragraph, if you look at the purport,
Mm.
it very nicely explains that he did not have child with so many wives. He requested Angira, and Angira, with the help of Maya, got the child,
Yes,
but
Prabhu.
told him at the same time that he will bring the jubilation and the lamentation both.
Yeah.
So probably he knew that this is going to happen.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Well, Suvarao Prabhuji, time and again we are at short of explaining many things, but I
No,
think
Prabhuji, my questions may look silly, Prabhuji. My
no, it's
questions
not
may be
silly.
silly, but
No.
same time I feel the common response or what do you
Yes,
call the awareness that a listener
yeah,
gets these
yeah,
things. I want to
yes.
answer such people if they ask me. That is the reason I am asking you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Matlab,
Madam.
I just thought one thing which I can share. I
Please.
just thought whatever we get in this life is because of the karma, kal and karma, right? So
Yes,
in the previous birth, might be Raja Chitraketu would have done some karma because of which he is destined to get this, right? And this is true actually. In the modern life also, people are not ready to accept if we find somebody having leprosy or something. If any of the Hindus, if they go and they say to that, because of the karma of the previous life, they say आप लोग हमेशा कर्म कर्म की बातें करते हो, कुछ नहीं, आप आज उसकी मदद करो. So this is what it is. So everything whatever we are getting is karma, which is Lord Krishna has already stated, right?
yes,
And again and again we try, means it's just these stories are not told about the king. It is for us, it is for Kali Yuga people. I have heard somewhere that Bhagavatam is still in the process of writing. If you want to be in Bhagavatam, in the story of Bhagavatam, then you have to live the life of Krishna consciousness. We have seen the story of Raja Chitraketu here because he was in his previous life, also in the present life, and later on when he become a demon, that time also he is going to be Krishna conscious. And this is what Lord Krishna want to show us all, that whatever you are, whatever karma you do, if if you know me, if you are attached with me, if you are dovetailing me, then ultimately I am going to be there. No need to fear. Again and again Krishna says, yes, means I am there, you should not fear. So I think this is what is one of the thought process which I got when you were discussing it. Thank you so much. Hari Krishna.
That's true, Mataji. Krishna very nicely says, Sarva Dharma Paritanjate Mamekam. You just come to me and surrender to me. Leave all other things and I'll take you through. Yes, everything is at the end is because of the karma and certainly our karma. So we are going to be accountable for whatever we do. If we escape the accountability of the world, you do not escape the accountability of the God. So with that, most of the things settle down that we should live a karmic life, a life in a goodness, if possible in pure goodness, and then proceed further with the japa and the devotional service. That's the only way out of these miseries. Though the life looks nice, though this time probably we all are lucky that we all got very good things in our life, we had less miseries and more comforts and more other things, but we do not know what we will get next time. And that's why we want to get something, we know what we will get. And so we must aim at the devotional service, make our bhakti stronger and stronger. And strong bhakti leads to certainly liberation, certainly leads to ultimately having association with the Lord. Srila Prabhupada was asked once, how long does it take to complete the devotional service successfully? And Srila Prabhupada said, 1 second, because it's your bhav and the prema. If you have reached that stage of bhav and prema, it's that 1 second that matters. You have that love, you have that bhav. And that's why Namanista Das Prabhuji always says that when we are doing arti, a morning arti, we should actually become so emotional and we should cry that our eyes start having tears. That's your vow and that's your prayer. And that's what Lord is looking forward to. Hare Krishna to everyone. Thank you very much for your kind revelations, your good words. I know I don't deserve it. And all the glories to Srila
No,
Prabhupada.
Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
You are
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
You
Prabhuji,
you
yeah.
have given a wonderful gist of everything.
Yeah.
It is not so easy to understand that way.
Ah.
Particularly, we are so much excited. The way you present with some tabulations, some presentations, they're really, really super.
4
Every
stages
one
of
of them
MD
are
also. 4 stages of
every
MD.
one of them are worth of treasuring, Prabhuji. Whenever you give this, you should post in the group so that we will copy it and learn.
Sure.
Prabhuji,
If I have not posted something, please do remind me.
Thank you,
Prabhuji, only
Prabhuji.
one query. That means isn't it foolish that everybody throngs to all the religious places, place and offers to the Lord so many things and say, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. We see thousands of people thronging the temples only to ask the Lord, give me this and give me that. So ultimately it is foolish. So here we are realizing the Lord will give what he wants and what we deserve because of karma, and we should just surrender. So that is what we have means it's a very big realization. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you. Sureka Mataji, you were saying something.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I couldn't listen attentively, Prabhuji. Can you tell me the gist of today's class, Prabhuji? If you don't mind, sorry to tell that. Yeah, in nutshell, if you can tell, it will be helpful.
Yeah, Mataji, basically, it's the Lord's wish that is paramount in this world, in the material world. And Lord's wish is called providence. And that wish is always paramount. The only problem is we usually do not understand and analyze his wish rightfully. And that's why we do not understand. And we say that Lord works in the most mysterious way. It's because we do not understand his plans. And so whatever he does to us, we think that he is not doing right thing. For an example, Pandavas felt so much of miseries. And then it is Lord's wish that we try and understand how come, but we do not know the longer planning of the Lord. So what I said was, I said 3 sentences. Lord Krishna says that you always wish what you like, but you always get what I like. Then why don't you wish what I like? I like those 3 sentences because it tells the whole Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. Does that make sense, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Prabhuji. It was very nice,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Otherwise, I would have missed this. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your
Hare
kind.
Krishna. वाचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनेक कोटि वैष्णव एक देव. Thank you very much for attending the class. We appreciate that. And thank you. All of you have a wonderful Krishna conscious day ahead. Hare Krishna to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Pranams.
Hare Krishna.